does. So I wanted to introduce Dave Castelnuovo from Block Creative. And you guys are in for a treat. Dave has actually been in the games industry since 1992. And he's going to talk to us today about how do you create a top success like Pocket Gods for the iPhone and keep it up there on the charts for 2.5 years. And of course, some of the new opportunities that he's learned about along the way that he's going to be introducing to us today as well. So with that, please welcome Dave.
Thanks everybody for inviting me down. My name's Dave, and I created a game called Pocket God about 2.5 years ago. It originally wasn't meant to be like the success that it's been. It's always meant to be a launching pad onto bigger and better things, just to get a little technology going for us. But it's really taken off. I started in the industry in 1992, where I worked on a lot of Sega Genesis properties. The very first project that I worked on was a game called Clay Fighter. And it's kind of funny because back in those days I worked at a third-party developer / sweatshop. Even at one point the owner of the company asked if I owned a cot so that I didn't have to go home to sleep or take a shower. But one of the cool things about it was that, you know, he instantly put me on with no experience onto a Sega Genesis game. It was just me as a programmer and someone else as an artist. And we could just kind of run the project how we wanted. If we needed a new tool or something, I could just build it. I was responsible at the end of the day for getting everything done. And things have kind of come around full circle for me, you know, because that's exactly how we built Pocket God. I'm the sole programmer on Pocket God. My partner Alan Dye does all the artwork, and it's just really refreshing to be able to, you know, work with someone that's really talented, someone that's really efficient in what they do, and just kind of crank out content week after week. Like I said, Pocket God was never really meant to be the success that it is. It was really just a third in a series of sprint projects that I set up for myself. I think like everybody in the game industry, you want to create your own games, you feel like you have some really cool ideas, and you know, a lot of times what happens is that you work on things for like maybe a month or two. Myself, I would get caught up in the technology portion of it, and then things would go up, would stall because you either get attracted to another idea or because you get wrapped up in like your development deadlines for your employee, and so for the company that you're working with. And so what I ended up doing for iOS was setting up sprint projects. The first one was 10 hours, where I would just get in, get through something, produce content, and just get it out there just to get in the production mindset. Pocket God happened to be the third project in that series, and we ended up allocating a week to build the initial release. And we're kind of in the right position. We were in the right place at the right time. Because it forced us to think a little bit differently. We ended up doing a sandbox application that a lot of people really responded to. We weren't really attached to the success of it because we kind of felt like we would end up doing another game as soon as this one came out, and so we were able to kind of exercise our mean sense of humor. And you know, at one point I tossed a pygmy into the water and watched it drown, and it was funny. And you know, it was just like really something that we built for our own satisfaction. And I think that ended up connecting. That was the aspect that ended up connecting with people and made it into the success. So one of the things that I think is interesting about Pocket God and some of the other games that have a long longevity is that they're not instant successes. You know, slow growth is okay. We took 2 months to get to #1, and we didn't have the benefit of any promotion from Apple, no advertising, no big articles on Gizmodo or anything like that. It was all just word of mouth and us just like really putting ourselves into it. Doodle Jump, you know, another huge success in the App Store, took 5 months to get to #6 and 10 months to get to #1. At one point, after it initially got into the top 100, it actually fell out of the top 100 for a few months before all of a sudden it had its resurgence, and by the time it was successful, started generating, you know, 1 million sales a month or more. Angry Birds, so you can't really argue with the type of dominance that Angry Birds has in the market right now, and they were not an instant success. It took them 2 months in order to get to #1, and even Chilingo, the company that published it, put it with their secondary brand, Click Gamer, because I guess they felt that it was a budget title. You know, no one really felt that it was going to be like the success that it was, but yet they worked hard, did a lot of updates, and they convinced people in order to support the application. So I kind of think, you know, at a lot of these talks, you know, people talk about, you know, marketing, cross-promotion, different ways to try to, you know, game the system and get it up there, but I kind of look at those things as artificial boosts in your ranking. And I think it's about time that for people to bring it back to the game itself. I really think that the game is where you need to generate the word of mouth. The game is where you need to, you know, make people listen and make people see what you're doing. We do that by doing a ton of updates. When the game first came out, you know, people saw that there wasn't a lot to do, but they liked the principle. And so we reached out to the fan base and we told them that we would end up doing weekly updates, at least for the first 2 or 3, but we ended up doing 14 updates every single week. And this really made our user base, really got their attention. You know, they saw the support that we put into the project. They really saw, like, every single week a brand new piece of functionality, that we weren't just like shipping bug fixes or, you know, a new leaderboard or something like that. We were putting in real effort and real content into the game. We also build momentum in the game through strong community interaction. You know, we are really paying attention to, you know, what our fans say about the game. We rely on them for ideas and inspiration for all of our updates. We even go so far as to, if we're in the middle of working on an update and our fan base, you know, responds negatively to it, we'll change it and we'll really listen to them and do something that they want. And what this does is it really creates a kind of ownership on behalf of our community, where they feel like they know the game developers, where they feel like they have part in the game design, and they really have a vested interest in the success of the app. You know, they're the first ones to tell their family, friends, parents, whatever, about the game Pocket God, and they're really legitimately excited if we put something in that they talked about on the forums. The third thing we try to do in order to, you know, keep the application up is get people talking. And this, I think, is a really important aspect of it, you know, because you could have a nice game, you could have a nice app, but unless people really respond to it in a strong manner and tell their friends about it, you know, it's not really going to have the kind of virality that, you know, that you're looking for. We tend to get people talking through by keeping things topical, and so we'll put things like, you know, we introduced the Charlie Sheen Pygmy, we did the Double Rainbow update. I actually have a little bit of a demo of that. So this is the Charlie Pygmy, and so for some reason Charlie has an aversion to food.
It's for trolls.
He doesn't like sleep.
People need sleep.
He doesn't like sleep. And for some reason, he enjoys having a monkey on his back. Here's a taste of the Double Rainbow update.
Double rainbow all the way across. Double rainbow, oh my god.
So one of the funny things about the Double Rainbow update is that some people were introduced to this through our game, and they actually went to the Double Rainbow's YouTube channel and told him, hey, you guys stole this from Pocket God. What are you doing? So he had the Double Rainbow guy email us angrily saying, what are you telling your fan base? You're libeling, you're saying that you came up with it yourselves. But like things like that, you know, we use to get people talking, you know, to create some kind of like viral nature where they're going to like tell their parents and say, oh my God, check this out, look at what they're doing. You know, in a lot of ways similar to the way South Park handles their TV show. You know, South Park addresses some kind of like topical pop culture phenomenon, or they do something, you know, kind of edgy, and you tell your friends like, hey, did you see that episode of South Park last night? It's really awesome. You should watch it. So what we're trying to do is capture that same kind of essence in our app, and use that to bolster our rankings, and use that to get new users into our game. So one of the things, I mean, right now I'm talking a lot about like how to use your game in order to build momentum. And that's not to say that we don't use things like marketing, press, cross promotions, and things like that. We just use it very, very sparingly. Everybody has an app in the App Store, has seen those apps that when they come out in the first week, they raise up to the #1 or the top 5, and then after 2 weeks, they're completely out of the top 100. Those are apps that utilize cross promotion and marketing and press too much. You know, there's not enough virality in the game itself. There's not as much attention, and they basically artificially boost their rank. And as soon as the press is gone, as soon as the app promotion is gone, it sinks like a rock. So there is so what you want to do is use these things sparingly. We tend to use it, you know, before Christmas, before holidays, things like that, where we really want to get like a solid rank push. And then we basically hold off on it for the rest of the year so that it can store up.